The sun dipped low on the horizon, painting the sky with hues of pink and orange as my friends and I ventured into the heart of the forest. We were on a mission to escape the monotony of everyday life, if only for a few fleeting days. Our destination, a secluded campground nestled deep within the wilderness, far from the prying eyes of civilization. As we navigated the winding roads that led us ever deeper into the woods, excitement bubbled within me like a fizzy drink waiting to explode. Thoughts of roasting marshmallows over an open fire, sleeping beneath a blanket of stars, and exploring the untamed beauty of nature filled my mind, drowning out the stresses and worries of the outside world. But little did I know our idyllic camping trip would soon take a terrifying turn, plunging us into a nightmare beyond our wildest imagination. And so, dear reader, join me as I recount the events of that fateful weekend, a weekend that would change my life forever. The scent of pine needles hung heavy in the air as we arrived at the campground, the forest stretching out before us like an endless sea of green. Towering trees loomed overhead, their branches reaching toward the sky as if yearning to touch the heavens above. We quickly set up camp near a babbling brook, the soothing sound of running water serving as the backdrop to our excitement. Tents were pitched, sleeping bags unfurled, and a crackling fire soon roared to life, casting a warm glow over our little corner of the wilderness. As darkness descended upon the forest, a sense of tranquility washed over me. The stars sparkled overhead, their light twinkling like 1,000 tiny diamonds scattered across the night sky. We gathered around the fire, sharing stories and laughter as we roasted marshmallows and sipped hot cocoa, the cares of the world melting away with each passing moment. But beneath the surface of our joviality lurked an unease, a nagging feeling that we were not alone in the woods. It was a sensation I couldn't shake, no matter how hard I tried to ignore it. And as the fire crackled and popped, casting flickering shadows that danced across the trees, I felt a chill creep up my spine. It started with a whisper, a faint, barely audible sound that seemed to emanate from the depths of the forest. At first I brushed it off as nothing more than the wind rustling through the trees. But as the night wore on, the whispers grew louder, more insistent, their words indiscernible, yet filled with a sense of urgency. My friends exchanged nervous glances as we huddled together, our eyes scanning the surrounding woods for any sign of the source of the eerie phenomenon. But there was nothing to be seen, nothing but the impenetrable darkness that enveloped us like a suffocating cloak. Just when we thought we couldn't take it any longer, the whispers suddenly ceased, leaving behind an oppressive silence that seemed to suffocate the air. We sat in stunned silence, our hearts pounding in our chests, as we tried to make sense of the inexplicable events unfolding around us. And then, just as suddenly as it had stopped, the whispering resumed, louder and more frantic than before. It was as though the very forest itself was alive with a malevolent energy, a force that defied explanation and filled us with a sense of dread, unlike anything we had ever known. As the night wore on, strange things began to happen. The fire flickered and danced unnaturally, casting eerie shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. The air grew cold, sending shivers down our spines despite the warmth of the flames. But it was the sound that haunted us the most, a ghostly wailing that echoed through the night like a mournful lament. We tried to convince ourselves it was just the wind, but deep down we knew it was something far more sinister. We huddled together in our tent, our hearts pounding in our chests as we whispered words of reassurance, desperate to convince ourselves that we were safe from whatever malevolent force lurked outside. But deep down we knew the truth. We were not alone in the forest, and whatever was out there was not friendly. As dawn broke and the first light of morning pierced the darkness, we emerged from our tent, bleary-eyed and weary from a sleepless night spent cowering in fear. The campsite was deserted, as though we had been the only ones there all along. But as we packed up our belongings and prepared to leave, we couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that something unseen was still lurking in the shadows, waiting to claim us as its next victims. And then, just as we were about to make our escape, we heard it. The low, guttural growl that sent a chill down our spines and froze the blood in our veins. With trembling hands, we cast our flashlights into the darkness, only to come face to face with the glowing eyes of a creature we couldn't begin to comprehend. With a scream of terror, we turned and ran, our hearts pounding in our chests as we fled through the night, praying for salvation from whatever nightmare had descended upon us. And though we eventually found our way back to civilization, we would never forget the horrors we encountered in the depths of the forest. nor the chilling certainty that we were not alone in the darkness. And so, dear reader, I leave you with this cautionary tale, a tale of terror and survival in the unforgiving wilderness. The next time you find yourself alone in the woods at night, remember these words and tread carefully, for you never know what malevolent forces may be lurking in the shadows, waiting to prey upon unsuspecting victims. As for me and my friends, we emerged from that harrowing experience forever changed, our innocence lost to the darkness that dwells within us all. But though the scars may fade with time, the memory of that terrifying camping trip will linger in the depths of my mind, a reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that lurks just beyond the edge of our perception.